Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Buffalo Philly Special Podcast. I will be your host tonight, the King, as always. Tonight's going to be a little bit different than usual, so I'm going to do a solo episode. It is for where I'm going to project the Bills' 53-man roster, and I'm also going to do a deep dive on the schedule, but in the opposite order. I'm going to do the schedule first. In the meantime, tomorrow we will be recording our normal weekly episode. It'll be on the NFC East uh, division. We'll have some other news talk. But tonight I want to open the show with um, the signings today. Well, the one signing today, actually. The Philadelphia Eagles did sign former Bills defensive end AJ Epinesa to a 1 year contract. So that's very exciting for the Eagles. A little sad on my part. I think he was very good in our rotation when he did play. He was also one of our few healthy guys that we had that was always healthy. So it stinks to lose someone that caliber of a player. But at the same time, I mean, the writing was on the wall when he was signed to Cleveland for a minute there, but didn't pass his physical, and the Browns decided to cancel the deal. So it's not like he was going to come back either way. So we move on. But we wish the best for AJ, and I'm sure that the Wiz will be very excited to talk about that tomorrow. Um, but let's move on to the main event. Well, one of the main events, the 2026 schedule. I wanted to do a deep dive on my own where I had more time to actually talk about each individual game. So, obviously, we opened the 2026 season versus the Panthers, Browns, and Steelers. Those are all just preseason games. I'm not going to really go into those at all. Um, if I had to make a prediction, starters are only going to play in the Browns game. Um, I don't think they'll play week one of preseason at all. And then the Steelers, maybe they'll play a drive and be done. But I would think the usual, only the second game of the season where they really do anything. But let's get into the 18-week schedule. Most important part of the season besides the playoffs, obviously. Week one, we have the Texans, and it's in Houston as well. Um, it's been more of a hard place for us to play throughout history, even when it wasn't just the Josh Allen, formerly McDermott era. In general, the Bills have struggled playing the Texans, especially in Houston. I think I can only really recall one or two wins. I know one of them was with J.P. Lossman throwing, I want to say, two 83-yard bombs to Lee Evans, but that's really not important nor here nor there now. I mean, this isn't 2006. So we're in 2026. So in my experience of watching the Texans the last couple of years, they start out really slow, and usually the Bills start really hot. So uh, obviously, I would like to see things stay the course, at least with the beginning of the season for the Bills, where they start hot. Um, but I'm not going to sit here and say that this is going to be an easy game. That Houston defense gives Josh Allen a fits. I think last year when we played them, I know that we lost, but I think he was sacked about 6 or 7 times. Um, and it was overall not a very pretty game. So we'll see what happens. But if I had to make a prediction, gun to my head, I think for the first time since 2021 or 2020, I want to say 21, um, we will lose our first game of the season. But I also wouldn't be very shocked if we did eke out a win because the Texans do start slow. This is one of the hardest games on the schedule, but I am going to say that we will lose that game. And I think we'll come into week two where we open the new Highmark Stadium with our inaugural season there. The Lions, I think we'll beat them. I really do. Few reasons why. I just think both offenses are electric. I think it'll be a very high scoring game. But I like the new look of this defense a little bit more than previous years. And the Lions have a very weak corner room right now, especially with Brian Branch still hurt and not expected to be back by week one, um, by any stretch of the imagination. He did tear his ACL last year. And I think that it gives the boys, um, with Josh Allen and the wide receivers, Shakir, Moore, Bell, Keon, Dalton, and Knox, and then even James Cook and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. I think they'll just have the ability to open up the field a little bit more. But obviously, Amon Ra, Jameson, um, Tesla, Sam Laporta, and Gibbs, and want to say it's Pacheco over there now, have the same ability. Don't get me wrong. I just think that our defense is going to be a little bit stronger than theirs. I think we're going to also have the bonus of opening up a brand new stadium, our first home game in that stadium, not counting the preseason. Um, but I mean, this is going to be a big night. It's on Thursday Night Football. So uh, I will give a score, and I will give a score for the previous game. I did not think about it. But I'm going to go with 30, 38 to 30. I think we just pull out a 8-point win. I think it'll be loads of fun. I think there will be tears, happy tears, sad tears, and everything. Just with the emotion of losing our previous stadium, opening this one. I just think that we'll have a little bit more that we're playing for compared to the Lions. The Houston game, I could see that being like a 21-20 game where we do lose. And then moving on to week 3, which is also a home game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Um, the Chargers are funny. You never know what you're going to get when you play them. But Josh Allen is undefeated against the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I believe he is 2-0. I don't see that changing. I think this will be a game that will be a little bit more one-sided. I don't have high hopes for the Chargers this year. It just, and it's nothing against them. It's more like they're always hurt, and it's always something with them. There is no like luck for them. Like they just are out of it. Um, you know, whether last year, just looking back, their whole offensive line was decimated. They had injuries throughout their wide receivers, just missing games here and there. Not anywhere compared to where the offensive line was, but the defense was getting a little bit choppy towards the end of the season last year. And then they got just beat by the Patriots pretty bad in their playoff game. Um, Chargers are coming off another just sick postseason, um, and not in a good way, obviously. So, yeah, I think the Bills pull it out, 28-16. It's a 1 o'clock game. The Chargers are coming from the West Coast. That to them, that 1 o'clock game is what, 9 o'clock in the morning for them. Like, I just, I have a hard time seeing a West Coast team this early in the season not being used to it. Depending on the Chargers schedule, I could be completely wrong too. It's not like I looked at the whole Charger schedule, but either way, they're coming from the West Coast. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills in that one. Then we get to week 4, and that's another home game against the New England Patriots at 1 o'clock. I'm honestly shocked that this isn't a primetime game. Um, is the second one a primetime game? No, it's going to be the game of the week though, 4:25 for CBS, I would imagine. Um, I don't have it doesn't say what channel any of these games are besides like Thursday night, Monday night. Obviously, we know when those are, Christmas, etc. But New England, like realistically, They did just trade for AJ Brown. They got Romeo Dobbs over there. They got Hunter Henry, old reliable. I guess he's really not that old. I think he's only 30 or 31, but realistically, he's a good option. They got Booty. They got Henderson. Well, Travion Henderson. They got Mr. Fumbles, Ramondre Stevenson. They got Drake, Will. Offensively, Will Campbell was a liability in the Super Bowl. I'm sure he's not going to play as bad as he did in that game. We don't have a crazy rush the passer kind of player. Um, and overall, our defense is nowhere as good as the Seattle Seahawks, tentatively. Obviously, things could change. Maybe Jim Leonard's formula and scheme works wonders, and we have this crazy sack attack all of a sudden, like the days with Jim Schwartz. Wish, but no. Honestly, I think we'll split with the Patriots. I'm not gonna lie. I think we'll take the home game. I think it'll be like a 24-20 game. Nothing too crazy points wise, but it'll be very entertaining, I think. And then we'll move on to week 5. And the last couple years, weeks 5 through 7, the Bills usually struggle. We have a bye week, week 7. And then we'll get to whoever is at week 6 after. But the Rams, it's on Monday Night Football. It's in Los Angeles. I think if we were going to have a game that we just get mollywopped in, I think it would be this one. But I also have to remember that Sean McDermott's not here anymore. Maybe things will be different. Maybe we won't have that not actual midseason struggle, but what we would call the midseason struggle for the Bills, as Bills fans have had over the last couple years. Um, but I also think that Puka Devontae, their 400 tight ends that they got over there, Kyrene Williams, Blake Corum, Matt Stafford. They even have a decent offensive line. Their defense is star-studded. You got Myles Garrett. Who knows if Aaron Donald will be back? You got Kobe over there, Cam Curl, etc. I just think that the Rams are such a hard team for the Bills previously. Like we've seen some really big shootouts. But I think if we were going to get murdered in a game, that would happen there. But I'm also going to use my fandom a little bit. I think we do lose, but I think it'll be like the Mexico City game. I think it'll be like a 40-42 kind of game where the Bills could lose. I mean, those are my favorite games to obviously win, and it would stink to lose, but we'd still have a lot of fun watching it. I'm hoping just to get a really good game, but I will give the Bills their first loss there against the Rams. And then we go into week 6 against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are going to be a lot more improved than they were from the previous season, but I do not see the Bills losing to the Raiders. I don't think Fernando Mendoza will be playing yet. Ashton Genty should have a much better season. We can hope fantasy wise, but yeah, I just don't see the Raiders being able to keep up. I think this is a 32-17 kind of game. We go into the bye week rested, and then wake up in week 8 on 11-1 against the Ravens. There's not a team in this world I hate more than the Ravens, which is weird because I was a really big Joe Flacco guy back in the day. When the Bills were, let's face it, a little bit more irrelevant compared. Obviously, my fandom never wavered, but I like Joe Flacco, just the player, Joe Cool. But this is the 2026 version of the Ravens. As you all know, I am not a Lamar Jackson fan. I think their fans are also, at least Twitter-wise, very toxic and very not fun to be around, so it makes me root for them to lose even more. There's no game I want to win more in the regular season than against the Ravens. as much of a Derrick Henry fan as I've been in my life, since playing Madden with my brother and being the Titans and just watching Derrick Henry play in real life as well. I wish the best for him always, but yeah, no, we are not losing to the Ravens. Uh, I think Jesse Minter will be much improved compared to John Harbaugh and his struggling ways of losing games. But at the end of the day, we own Lamar, we own the Ravens. Um, it's something in their head. I feel like we broke them last year. Obviously, this is a whole new coaching staff. Things are going to change, but as far as Lamar Jackson goes, the Bills own him, and I think we'll put them down in the pasture. I think it'll be no, it won't be as exciting as last year. I would think nothing can top last year's 41-40 game. But I'm gonna go with a 28-24 kind of game. It'll be close, but in the end, the Bills will pull it out, and that will get us to 6-1, and then we go to the Minnesota Vikings. This is our next Monday Night Football game. Um, and we all know that Josh Allen is good at primetime games. Other than last year, we lost quite a few, but it's the Vikings. It's at 8:15. It's going to be in a dome. Uh, you know, Not really afraid of Kyler Murray, but just Justin Jefferson always scares me. Other than last year, I do think that the Bills will take care of business, but it's very interesting. I think a lot of things could make this go other ways. I'm not really a huge fan of the Vikings running back room with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. They're both like, I guess you can't really say Jordan Mason's old. I just don't think he's a very good running back. I think he had a decent season with San Francisco that one year, and we all kind of fell in love with him as our waiver darling that year, where CMC was out 90% of the season. I think he played 2 weeks. But I just don't see the Bills losing to the Vikings. I think if Christian Benford can do his job and slow down Justin Jefferson and Maxwell can hold down Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's looked like a pedestrian out there last year, but that also could be playing with nine. We'll see what happens, but I have a lot of faith in the Bills winning this game 30-10. Um, Obviously, Kyler has burned us once before, but I don't think it'll be very much like that. And then we move into week 10 versus the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. Um, you know, have we struggled versus them, their defense before? Absolutely, but I think Aaron Glenn's an absolute joke of a head coach. I mean, their defense went all last year without recording a single takeaway, no fumbles, no interceptions, nothing. That is insanely hard to do. We have never seen that before. And this is week 10. I'm sure the Jets will be in free fall mode at this point. Um, Looking at an easy W there, getting us to 9-1, and then just in time to head back to Buffalo to face the Dolphins. I like Malik Willis as a project player. I just don't like him in Miami. Um, he just got a little bit of confidence playing out in Green Bay the last 2 seasons. And then he gets picked up by the Dolphins, who have decided to just trade away every player that means anything besides Devon Achane uh, on offense. I like Chris Bell as a prospect, but who knows if he'll be playing by then. I mean, your number one is either Tutu Washington or Michael. Oh, Jesus. What is that cat's name? I want to say it's Jefferson, but it's not. Michael Washington. That's the guy. Um, Devon Achane and Malik Willis aren't going to be able to do it by themselves. Darren Waller, I don't think he's back. He's definitely not re-signed. I don't even know if he's still going to be in the NFL. He just hasn't really put in a retirement. I think the defense will be a little bit worse than last year. They did lose quite a few pieces, but nothing crazy per se. They still have Jordan Brooks over there. He's a great player, but one player isn't going to beat one elite player on both offense and defense is not going to beat the Bills unless we just play one of our stupid games that we have every year. But I see us eating the Dolphins alive in Buffalo. I think that'll be a 42 to maybe 12, 14 kind of game. Maybe they get a few field goals. Maybe they get a touchdown. You know, anything's possible. But I just see the Bills getting to their 10th win here. No, sorry, ninth win there. Yeah. Yeah, ninth win. And then we go into actually we stay in Buffalo, my bad. We go to Thanksgiving football. Um, you know, obviously Josh Allen's undefeated on Thanksgiving. He's beaten Dallas and he's beaten um, this New Orleans Saints. One was the middle game, obviously. The Texans or Texas, Dallas Cowboys are always in the middle game on Thanksgiving, and then they won the main event game a couple years back over the Saints, um, which I think was the Jameis Winston season. I don't think Drew Brees was playing anymore, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I even looked at that game. It's just to me, it's the Tre'Davious White going down for the first time game. But like I said, we're playing the Chiefs. Um, so obviously, I like that we're undefeated on Thanksgiving, but I'm also really sick of beating the Chiefs in the regular season and losing to them in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a different idea here. I'm going to give the Bills their second loss of the season, putting them at 9-2 at week 12. Um, and unfortunately, we're going to have to go to 9-3 because I said the Bills and Patriots would split games. So I will have to stick with that. But I think I'm actually going to change that because I didn't see that the second game's in December. And we all know how the Winter Soldier is in December. Very good overall record. I want to say it's 24 and 4 all time in December. So he has been the king of December in the NFL. Just want to start being the king of January and February as well here. But I am actually going to change my mind. I'm going to give the Bills their 10th win here against the Patriots. So that'll put us at 10-2, heading to Green Bay. Um, Obviously, it's going to be cold. It's December. It's Lambeau. Josh Allen's no stranger to playing in the cold, nor is most of the players on this team that have been here. DJ Moore played in Chicago. He's used to the cold. There's no one I really can think of that we got from teams that isn't used to cold. It's not like well, I can't say that. Bradley Chubb is from Miami, but he did play in Denver, so I'm sure he'd be fine. But I don't really see any problems here. I think the Bills handle the Packers. But it will be fun to see Micah Parsons on the field again. So maybe he'll get a sack on Josh Allen, but I think the Packers could be in for a rude awakening depending on what happens with Josh Jacobs too. So I am going to call this a win. This will be a tentative one though. If the Packers are healthy and Josh Jacobs is there, it's definitely going to be a very competitive game where it could go either way. Absolutely. But I will put a score on this one as well. I'm going to go with 28-14. Um, that's with the thought of Josh Jacobs not being there and just the Packers having a poor run game. And I forgot to give a score for the Dolphins game and the Jets game, but like I said, I think they're just going to murder them, so I'm not too worried. But I will give a score for the Chiefs. I think that'll be a 28 for the Chiefs to 24 for the Bills. I think we just got to reverse the curse, lose in the regular season, beat them in the playoffs, kind of thing. That'll move us on to Week 15 versus the Bears. This is another game that I'm super excited for because I do like Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland, and I'm a big fan of Luther Burn and Kyle Madungai. So this will be just fun in general for me. But Originally, I had this called as a loss for the Bills, just because I figured at this point in the season we would need one. But I am going to call this a win still for two reasons. One of the reasons is really dumb. It's because Caleb Williams is on the cover of Madden. But the other reason is I just don't doubt Josh Allen in December. I just don't. So I'm going to go with a relatively lower scoring game. But yeah, the game I would really like this to be like is last year's game with the Bears and the 49ers. If we can get like a repeat script wise of that, that would be amazing. That was one of the funnest games last year. I'm really looking forward to this game though. I'm going to go with 21-17 though. Um, and that would be when that was 10. That'd be when 12 versus the Bears. Then we go to Christmas Day versus the Broncos. You know, obviously I'm a Bills fan. I'm picking the Bills. It's Christmas. I need a Christmas wish. So yeah, I mean, I think we go in there, we get our revenge for the wild or the divisional round last year and just having the blunder that was that game. I think that also with having like their former defensive coordinator over there, um, I think we'll have a little bit more intel. Obviously, Sean McDermott, or sorry, not Sean McDermott, Sean Payton isn't a guy that changes too much year to year. It seems like, um, they let Bo Nix do his thing. And I think obviously with Jim Leonard seeing Bo Nix at practice every day, he's gotten to know the player himself. I think we'll have some answers. And obviously, the biggest thing that's changed over there is just getting Jalen Waddle. They didn't really sign any other players or trade for anyone else besides, their draft picks. So I think that we will stop the Broncos. I think it'll be a 21 to like 14 kind of game, beat them by a touchdown, get out of there. And then week 17, we'll play the Dolphins again. I'm just going to replay the same script as in a week 11, 28, 12, 14 kind of area. Uh, but it doesn't matter at that point. We're trying to just, the division race is over. We've won the division at this point. And then week 18, Josh Allen will go out there for one snap and put everything to rest. It'll be game over for the season in the regular season. It'll be game over for the regular season, not for the playoffs, obviously. But we'd beaten the Jets last year in the last week of the season with our backups. Obviously, we don't have Mitch anymore, but I think Kyle Allen will be able to get the job done. At this point, the Jets are tanking, in my opinion, trying to get the first pick or within the top 3 or 4 picks. So I could see the Jets definitely losing that game for draft pick reasons. We absolutely demolished them last year at the end of the season. I don't see much changing there. Overall, that would give the Bills only 2 losses in this season, losing to the Chiefs and the Rams. And I would not be surprised if we did split with the Patriots in real life, but with my prediction, that would give us a record of 15, 15-2. I had to make sure I was doing my math right because that'd be 17 games out of 18 weeks with the one bye. So we would go into the playoffs with a 15-2 record. I would think, honestly, we'd get the first round bye in the playoffs as well for the AFC. And then we would go from there. Obviously, I'm not going to predict the entire playoffs right now. We haven't even had more than 3 days of training camp. Actually, not even training camp, mini camp. Training camps in usually July. So this is just regular camp. What's going on now for all the teams? But yeah, I'm very excited for this football season. It'll be a lot of fun to see everything that folds out with the schedule. Obviously, anything could change, injuries happen, but this is my overall prediction if everything goes right. I can't predict if someone went down. I'm not even going to say the words about my quarterback or anything like that. Don't want to jinx it. So let's switch gears and move on over to the 53-man roster that I did a little bit of predicting myself. Um, so we'll start at quarterback. Um, well, actually, we won't start at quarterback. We will start with the notable changes on offense and defense. Or, well, let me rephrase that. We obviously are going to have notable changes on offense and defense, as this is our first season without Sean McDermott. We now have Joe Brady as the head coach. We have Jim Leonard calling the defense. Um, so it kind of goes without saying, but in case somebody missed something. Um, Obviously, with quarterback, I think we're going to only roll with two. That is going to be Josh and Allen and Kyle Allen. Running backs I have making the team are James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. I do think Ben Sherman will make the team, but I think he's going to be someone that they kind of call up on and off. I think Frank Gore actually makes the 53-man roster every week. But there's also a world where Ty Johnson stays with the team and he moves into the Reggie Gilliam role. But obviously, it's going to be between Ben Schugerman and him. And I don't think rookie Jackson Aker would even make the team at all. I think he's just a camp body personally. Wide receivers, I did predict 6 myself, 7 kind of, but 1 is a special case. But the main, I'm going to have DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, and Sky Bell. And then I am going to keep Cole Hardman for special teams. And then the 7th secret player is going to be Tyrell Shavers, but he's going to be on IR, I would think. Unless he's magically good to go week 1, which I don't foresee happening. And it doesn't look like it based on what we've seen with camp so far. Tight end is the most locked position on this roster. It's going to be Kincaid, Knox, and Hawes. Nothing's going to change there. I don't see Shane Silverstra or Kikli Latu making the team by any means necessary. Maybe making it as like a practice squad player could happen, but as far as that goes, no. Offensive tackles themselves, I'm going with Dion, Spencer Brown, Judy Barreau, and Case Lindon. The Bills were obviously high on Jude, with taking him at 102 in the 26th draft. And he would obviously be a roster lock behind Deion Dawkins. And Spencer Brown is obviously going to be here. He's been here for a couple years now. So that one's pretty easy. Guards, it's going to be Alec Anderson, O'Cyrus Torrance, Austin Corbett, and Armand Reed Adams. He's a rookie. I do have him making the team, and he would be a pretty good backup to O'Cyrus Torrance if he had to go out. And then centers are going to be Connor McGovern, as always. And then I have a hard time pronouncing this one, but Cedric Van Parm Gardner. But Connor McGovern obviously has experience at guard, but I would assume the Bills want to keep him at the pivot. And that leaves Van Pran and Lloyd Cushenberry trying to make the final roster spots. I don't want to see Cushenberry back at all, personally. And then interior defensive lines, we're moving over to defense now. That's going to be Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, Zane Durant, and Landon Jackson, and Dwayne Carter. We're switching the Bills are switching to a 3-4 instead of a 4-3 defense. So the starting trio would be Ed Oliver, Delaney, Walker, and TJ Sanders, obviously being roster locks. And then moving on over to the edge defender, we have Gregory Rousseau, Bradley Chubb, TJ Parker, Mike Donna, Javon Solomon, and Michael Hoyt. It'll be very exciting to see Michael Hoyt back in the field. He was probably my favorite Bill on the team last year, just because of how much energy he brought from the 2 games that he got to play after he came back from suspension. before he tore his Achilles. Man, if you watch just the games that he was there, it was amazing. Uh, Biggest cheerleader in the world over there. Love the guy. Um, I see the Bills bringing four linebackers: Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Caleb Imar, or the rookie, and then Joel Andresi, and I do see him staying. Obviously, we're going to have Demetrius Flagon Fowles and Jimmy Charlo try to make the roster behind Joe Andresi, but I don't see us carrying that many. Maybe an extra one, but I don't see us carrying seven linebackers or six linebackers by any means necessary. For cornerbacks, I got Christian McCaffrey, Christian Benford, Max Harrison, D. Alfred, Alfred, D. Alfred, and then Dorian Strong. Five cornerbacks might be a little light, but we have a lot of safeties that we're going to be keeping. And then Kilgore can also both, CJ and Kilgore can both play the slot, where D. Alfred was more brought in to be a starter. The perimeter, the team obviously needs Maxwell Harrison to step up across from Christian Benford this year. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Christian and Maxwell are locks. I would think that Gardner, like, I just think all these guys are locks. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun now. And then safety wise, I'm going with Cole Bishop, CJ Gardner Johnson, Gino Stone, Jason Kilgore, and Sam Franklin Jr. Pretty self-explanatory. We need to have some backups and we need to have two safeties out there. Obviously, we have free safety and strong safety, but I mean, I'm not going to break it down into that minute of a detail. Um, I do think that Damar Hamlin will be a cut this year. And Sam Franklin is a standout performer on special teams. And we resigned him to a 3-year deal in the offseason. Like, obviously, they're not going to cut somebody like that. And honestly, we all love Damar Hamlin and stuff like that, but it's time to move on. I mean, he didn't really play many games last year. And honestly, he got to have a full career here with the Bills. He can move on, and maybe Pittsburgh will pick him up. He's always wanted to play there. You know, I wish nothing but the best for him, but it is time to move on. We have a much better safety room than we have had. Compared to last year, don't get me wrong. Jordan Poyer played really good for his age, but it's time to move on from these players that have been here for a really long time. And obviously, Jordan Poyer is not signed by the Bills right now, but I mean, in general, we got to stop bringing back in the old players. You know, those are McDermott's guys. It's time to move on from that, in my opinion. Special teams, we got Tyler Bass, Tommy Doman Jr., rookie punter, and then Reed Ferguson. Obviously, last year, Tyler Bass was hurt. I don't see a reason why he's not going to be on this team. And I don't think Mitch Wisniewski is a very good kicker. Or sorry, not kicker, but punter. I don't very much like him. He was not very good for us last year, although we really didn't punt that much compared. But, you know, there's better punters out there, and I want to see what the rookie can do. And then I do have Terrell Shavers for sure starting the season on the PUP list, physically unable to perform. But he will be back with the team as soon as he is healthy. But that is what I got for that. So we'll go to the closeout at this point of the show. Obviously, this is my first episode doing this completely solo. And like I said, tomorrow we'll have our normal episode with me and Wiz. Nothing's changing there. I just wanted to go into more detail on the Bills for once, do a whole show, and, you know, give my thoughts on the schedule, obviously. But I think it went really well. I had a lot of fun doing this. If you guys want to see more videos like this, obviously let us know. I am going to try to have the Wiz the Wiz do an episode like this as well for the Eagles. I think that'd be a lot of fun for him. But until then, take care, be good, go Bills, God bless. All right, have a good night, everyone. Bye bye.